Hey guys, how's it going? I just created this video right here to go into a little more depth about the correlation between the rapture and the year 2012. I've scrolled through this whole thing that I'm going to cover so that if you prefer, you can just pause to read it. There's a little icon right down here near this video, on this video, that if you click on it, you can change the screen to HD and then you can see this better. So I'm just going to start here. What I noticed was that Daniel 12, Revelation 12, and Matthew 24 are talking about the same thing. So what I did was I matched them up side by side here and I color coded each verse. So this is verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4, like that. But the reason that I started in Matthew 24, verse 21 is because it's very clear here that this is where Daniel 12 starts. It's the same, almost the same exact verse. So it says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be." And Daniel 12:1 says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of tribulation, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall escape, every one that shall be found written in the book." Okay, so that's why I started it here. And notice that in Revelation 12:1, it says it's describing a celestial configuration that we know was fulfilled October 16th, 2012. You can watch the previous video that I uploaded in order to see the proof of that. And I have another video called God's Date that proves it, that goes into even more depth about this date right here. So this is giving us a clue as to when this is starting. And we also know Daniel 9:24 through 27 tells us that in the midst of the 7-year period, that's when the idol of terror will be set up, and that's when the tribulation starts. So we if the tribulation started, I'm sorry, if the 7-year period started in 2009, then we are in the midst of the tribulation right now. And I proved in my last video, and I'll just go up here really quick, I proved in several videos actually that the idol of terror, the abomination of desolation, which is what that is, that Daniel described, actually occurred on August 2nd, 2012, which, if the 7-year period started in 2009, this is perfectly correct. So that's what we're discussing here in this part. So at that time, thy people shall escape. So we're talking about this time period right now. This next verse in all of these 3 books aligned says, "And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, and the woman is pained to be delivered." And another way you can look at that is that the people who are going to be raptured are pained, wanting to be raptured. They're pained to be delivered. And those days will be shortened for the elect. So it's talking about those days. So the 7-year period that Daniel talked about, from 2009 to 2016, that 7-year period will be shortened for the elect. And at that time, which is the midst, when the tribulation starts, because the great tribulation starts when the idol of terror stands. And the idol of terror stands in the midst of the 7-year period. So when that tribulation starts, they will escape. So they will escape in the midst of the 7-year period, and that's where we are right now. We're in the midst of the 7-year period. So the elect's their 7-year period will be cut short. They will only have to go through it 3.5 years. 12:3, 12:3, 24:23. "And they that be wise will shine like the brightness of the stars. And at the same time, the great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, will stand up, and the Antichrist will stand up. You see that right there? At the same time that the wise are bright like the stars, the dragon is standing up and the Antichrist is standing up. Okay. Next we have Gabriel telling Daniel that it's the time of the end. And the dragon is standing before the woman, which is ready to be raptured. He's given us the time period here. And false Christs are arising and false prophets. And they're showing great signs and wonders that might even deceive the very elect. So for me, the thing that I think of that deceived me was Elenin. And Elenin, if you want to blame someone for deceiving us about Elenin, then blame the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I mean, please don't blame me. I'm not the one that created it. I was deceived by it. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory is the one that came out with that. We know that there are false Christs and false prophets right now, and I'm not one of them. First of all, I'm not a prophet. Secondly, my visions are not false. Acts 2:17 says that everyone, everyday people, are going to see visions and dream dreams. If you want to know if something's false or not, on my channel, all you have to do is look at my playlist, Proof the Visions Are Coming True, okay? I just had to say that there for those people that are freaking out. The next verse says, in Daniel, it says, there stood other two, and it makes me wonder if he's talking about the two witnesses here, but I don't really know. Revelation says, her child was caught up to God. So here's the rapture. And remember, we already know from our other Revelation study that the two witnesses come at the time of the rapture. Because the woman goes into heaven for 3.5 years. And remember, the two witnesses are on the earth for 3.5 years. Remember that? So at the time of the rapture, the two witnesses show up on the earth. So, again, this seems to coalesce with that. Jesus says, behold, I told you before. The child was caught up. The two witnesses show up. The next verse says, how long will it be to the end? At this point, how long is it going to be? It's going to be 3.5 years. And when the false Christ, the Antichrist comes, don't believe it. So the rapture has happened at this point in the story, and there's going to be 3.5 years left. Again, it says in this next verse, it shall be 3.5 years before it's all done. So the rapture has happened. It's going to be 3.5 years. And there was war at that time for 3.5 years. And then the Son of Man will come. So there's going to be, the rapture is going to happen. The war is going to start. And it's going to be 3.5 years before the end when Jesus comes back. The next verse says, what shall be the end of these things? And he says, the end is that the dragon will not prevail and will not be found in heaven anymore. For wheresoever the carcass is, the eagles will be gathered together. Well, we know in Luke 17, it says, wheresoever the heavenly stars are, there will the eagles be gathered together. The King James translation says body, and the original Hebrew word can mean heavenly stars. Well, if you look in 24:28, Matthew 24:28, carcass does not mean heavenly stars. It just means carcass. So what are we talking about here? We know the eagles are in heaven from Luke 17. And I think it's 37. It's at the end of that chapter. But why would a carcass be in heaven? Well, I didn't understand it, but now I think I do. SATAN is a satellite network that NASA has. It's called Satellite Automatic Tracking Antenna Network. And that satellite network is, if it's the dragon, which it says right here, the dragon was cast out, the one called Satan. And I'm not saying this is the only fulfillment, okay, because we already know that there's multiple fulfillments for what the dragon represents. But one of the things the dragon represents is this satellite network. And the satellite network is going to fall after the 3.5 years. That's what this is saying here. The stars fall after the tribulation. So after the tribulation lasts 3.5 years, and after that, the satellite network falls, the dragon falls, the one world government falls. And and the carcass is where the eagles are. So that tells us right there that we're talking about the carcass of the satellite network. To me, that's what it looks like. So it's in heaven. The carcass is in heaven. So that's actually talking about the satellite network. Okay. And then this is talking about the end again. It says, many shall be purified. Okay. Now has come salvation. The accuser has been cast down, and the Son of Man is coming. And at that time, the tribes of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Now many shall be purified at that time. So that could mean some of the people that are still on the earth that had to go through this 3.5 years of war on earth. For those people, many of them will be purified. So then that could be like the second resurrection, so to speak. Many will be pure, but none of the wicked are ever going to understand. So that means when people, no matter how logical you are and how well spoken you are, and I know I'm not well spoken, but I am logical, and no matter how perfectly it all makes sense, the wicked will never understand. I say that for myself because I just can't get that through my head. Okay, and then the next point says, then we get 2 more clues as to dates. These are just clues because he told us we don't know the date, and we don't know the date. None of us do. And he told us that, but we were given clues. So, 2012 is a clue. It doesn't mean it's going to happen this year because I don't know when, which year, but for some reason we've gotten 3 clues in 2012. We had that configuration up here on October 16th, and we also had these 2 fulfillments. So this next verse is talking about the idol of terror being set up in the midst of the 7-year period. We know that was happened August 2nd, 2012. I proved that in my last video and in other videos. And they overcame him by the word of their testimony. And he sent the angels and gathered together his elect from one end of heaven to the other. Okay. He's gathering together the elect that are in heaven. They're in heaven. They're in heaven. So this is talking, the story, the dates here are only clues. The dates are only clues, but the story itself is making sense. Do you see what I mean? The elect are now in heaven because they were taken up. Back here, the war started and they were raptured. And then the end comes and they are gathered together from heaven because they're already in heaven. But these are just giving us clues right here as to dates. Blessed is he that waits until the 1335 days. That happened on September 16th. August 2nd was 1290 days after Obama took the oath of office. September 16th, and the steel beam was placed in the Trade Center. September 16th was 1335 days after that. And rejoice, you heavens that are in them. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. These are the ones that go together, and then I go down here to explain all of that, and you can pause to read that if you want. But notice this. Blessed are those that come to 1335 days. We know that was the Feast of Trumpets, and that the Feast of Trumpets represents the rapture in Jewish custom. But then it says in Mark 1335, we got to the 1335 days. He says, keep watching, because you don't know. And we all I know I was discouraged when it didn't happen here. But we need to keep watching. He's given us another clue and saying, okay, I know that you came to this day and nothing happened, but keep watching, keep watching. And then it even confirms that for us in Matthew 25 when it says everybody's going to go forth and think the rapture is going to happen, but the bridegroom will be delayed. And some of the people are going to stop watching at that point. But for those that do keep watching, they are blessed. And those that stop watching and start attacking others and just partying and saying, oh, it's never going to happen, it's going to come on a day and an hour that they are not aware of. So it's like these scriptures all match and fit perfectly together like a puzzle. And it's just so amazing. And I don't know why I don't know why the scriptures pinpoint 2012 three times. I don't know the reason for that. All I know is that they definitely do. So I hope you guys are okay. I got to go. Bye.